Babyface Hinton. But we wanted to acknowledge all those other ones too. And then also 20 men from the 100th that are also on the wall of the missing, along with over 700 others that were mentioned. Before we talk more about this, I wanted to kind of lay out the mission that's played out in episode 3, the famous Regensburg-Schweinfurt shuttle double mission. So as America joined in the war and we finally started to have a bigger bomber presence, they really wanted to make a splash with a bigger mission. And that mission kind of got delayed, but finally, 17th of August ended up being the day. Also the 1-year anniversary of the first US-led bomber mission that had occurred a year prior. But finally, the US had enough forces that they felt that they could put up a significant attack, and they wanted to strike deep into Germany. So the very first time, they're also going to do a shuttle mission, take off from one location, go to another. As you know, and as it's been shown through many different shows and books, unfortunately the fighters did not have the legs to escort much further than probably about 50 miles back that direction, right, into Belgium. At that point, the bombers would go on their own. So as we lead into that day, I also want to give a little background, some of the characters and the crew that were on the aircraft, because they weren't necessarily supposed to be all of them on Alice for Dallas. In particular, Claytor was not supposed to, he's not Alice from Dallas. He was on Duration Plus 6. Duration Plus 6 was actually shot down in July, but Claytor was not on board because he had the flu, and his commander flew in his place. Nowadays, we often associate crews to the aircraft name, but in the war, it was whoever the lead pilot was. They were the Claytor crew. They were the Oaks crew. They were known by the aircraft commander's crew. And so nowadays we kind of identify by the airplane, but not then. And so Claytor ended up flying on Alice from Dallas. The main pilot from Alice from Dallas, the plane was actually named after his wife, didn't fly that day. He actually ended up finishing all 25 of his missions about 6 months later. But so Claytor joins this crew for Alice from Dallas. So that's one of the interesting things I add on there. The other interesting fact from Alice from Dallas is Bernie Lay. You guys all know Bernie Lay, the author of 12 O'Clock High. He was supposed to be on Alice from Dallas, and then was moved to Piccadilly Lily. So interesting twist of fate, and he knew that. Bernie Lay saw Alice from Dallas go down, and so part of what inspired his kind of mission to tell the story was how close he came to facing death that day as well. So 17th of August, that morning, they have a plan. They have about a 90-minute window where the bombers can take off, because we have the first bombardment wing and the third. The third was going to hit Regensburg, the first was going to hit Schweinfurt, and one wing was going to battle the way in, and the other one was going to be able to battle the way out, and they were going to time it so that the fighters could only hit them one way versus both ways. Unfortunately, fog in England rolled in. LeMay and his team had trained to take off in bad weather, and they had to take off by 8 in the morning, otherwise they couldn't make it to Africa in time before darkness, and they were get completely lost. So as they're delayed on the fog, finally they say, hey, let's just do it. I think we can take off. The weather is good enough for us. And so the third, right, takes off with LeMay in the lead. Unfortunately, the first gets delayed further, and the plan of trying to separate those attacking out, not getting attacked twice, doesn't go as planned, and so unfortunately it's not executed as planned, and thus a lot more aircraft were lost. So what you see right here was made by my step-grandfather, Jim Scott. He was on that mission that day. He was on High Life, which is next to Piccadilly Lily. We have the 3 squadrons. You can see Alice from Dallas down here. As the third was going, the other fault that they had is as they got into the proper formations, normally you wanted 3 bomb groups to properly box out to protect yourself. The lead one had 3, but the 2 side ones only had 2 bomb groups each, so they were each missing a bomb group. And it was those flank groups that took the most hits, including the 100th. So Alice from Dallas was in Belgium here when they were attacked. And I won't recount the whole story, but Claytor decided, hey, we need to sound the alarm. We're on fire, engines are on fire, we're out of control. And I won't recreate the show because these gentlemen did a great job doing that. But two members are lost in the bailout. Hinton, and I want to make sure I pronounce his name right, and Sergeant Musante. As he bails out, he hits the horizontal stabilizer and gets stuck on it, and the aircraft explodes. The movie depicts what happens to Babyface, and unfortunately, very sad on there. And as you realize, the other ones go into land and evade. Interesting side note, one of those evade, the navigator, Lieutenant Lorge, he evaded for 8 months, but then was captured and ended up in Stalag 3. So I just wanted to take a little moment and put that whole background into kind of what happened that morning in that mission. My step-grandfather was also shot down in that mission. He crash landed in Switzerland. So the first two B-17s to land in Switzerland were from that mission, one from the 100th that had my step-grandfather. So as you can see, this is very personal to me, not only the 100th, but that we honor all those. And he put this together afterwards because of that mission and outlined every crew that died, crashed, or made it through. And so I really appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to honor not only Sergeant Hinton, but all of those. My great-great-uncle is on the wall of the missing in Brittany. Sergeant Hinton, and many of these didn't get to have a spouse, didn't get to have children, right? They gave up their life. They gave up their future for our future. And so I just ask you to remember that we continue on their legacy, that we strive to reach the ideals that they all asked, and that their sacrifice, right, was for good reason and worthy.
Well said, sir.